Hey everybody, Jeff Risch here with Dorien Morin-van for the fourth episode of the SaaS Plus Social series. Say that four times fast, right? So welcome. Again, we're all in black today. It's one of those things where we just happen to subconsciously do it. I was telling her I was about to put a blue shirt on, but I got green shorts. It just didn't work for me for this. So we're matching again in the next episode, but in all seriousness, we tend to chat before these calls and get going. And one of the big things for me today was I started talking about like, hey, what's our next steps? We almost started getting into strategy. I was like, well, wait, we gotta record this episode. So
Right.
let's like get this out. Cause I wasn't complaining. I was telling Doreen that like this week, we're recording this on a Friday, has been back to back to back for me, like 8 a.m. till 4 or 5 o'clock. Like my last calls are starting at like 4:30 now. And it's just been busy. I was like, wait, we got to stop before I kind of tell you what's going on. And a lot of it has to do with we're expanding our reach. Our audience is growing, and I'm starting to see some of the feedback of folks that are out there. So I've got a couple of multi-location businesses, whether it be property management companies, real estate groups. They're all like, hey, we've got a team, or we've got 3 multi-location or 5 multi-location from there. And we're asking like, how'd they find us? Or I had somebody that I met, actually, I didn't tell you this. Actually, I didn't tell you any of this. I was in the Facebook group, but you probably saw it. Yesterday, I had a demo with somebody who has 120 plus clients in their agency. They serve a very specific vertical. And he was like, yeah, you probably don't remember me, but we met back in 2014. Like we had another event or things like that. And I don't really need much of your demo because all the content that you've put out is already telling me like, this is what I'm looking for from there. So we just kind of caught up, had a conversation, and then it was an easy sale from there. So if you're selling a SaaS, or if you're putting content out there to get people to understand who your agency is or your business, just keep doing it and keep finding a little bit of time here and there to work. Because during, for me, as I'm getting busy, I know you saw there were some times where I was able to post a video 1, 2, 3 times a day.
Yes.
And there's also a limit to that, right? Like I can only post, I can't post 3 times a day and expect my group to absorb it, make comments on it, and go from there. It's overwhelming. So I've had to like actually schedule stuff out for like, and I finally had to like, I've got so much content, I had to actually schedule a post in my Facebook group for like the next day. From there, we're talking like videos like this that I just come on, get on and share. But we've seen some growth and stuff in the Facebook group. We've seen some changes in activity. So before I go a little bit into like what I'm posting and how I'm making it work, finding those time slots that I've had from all this, how are we doing with the audience and what we're growing after right now?
Yeah, so we get about anywhere between 6 and 16 new member requests a day for the Facebook group, which is great.
Yep.
We're actually a very active group, I think. So we are now close to 5,000 members,
Mhm.
which is great growth. We have on average 3 posts a day, but there have been 9 posts that you might have posted 2 or 3 videos, but then other people are asking questions in
Yep.
response as new posts, which is also very exciting. I don't think there's been a day that there hasn't been a post. So members are starting to post, which is also great. And then the other thing I'm noticing is that members are talking to members, which is really the definition of a community, is that you
Yep.
are not just talking to your audience, but your audience is talking to each other. That's a definition of a community, when members talk to each other. So it's really exciting to see that growth. I keep a close eye on making sure that, questions are answers. I know you're in there every single day. I'm not even in there every single day, but some great content's coming out of that. And I think that the vibe and the voice that you have as the kind of, you're almost a community manager, Jeff, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
But the vibe and the voice that you have in there is enthusiasm for your product, for your people, for your
Yep.
client, for your team, and that comes across. That's very you're humanizing Reviewly. You are, putting a face, of course, to the SaaS company, but you're accessible. I saw you, and this is crazy. I saw you post your personal phone number in there and say, people, hey,
Yep.
if you need to reach me. And I think people really appreciate that. And they're telling their friends, come into the fold, which is really, I think that's the growth that we're seeing. They're inviting other people in. There's something exciting happening and it's contagious. And that's what I'm seeing in a Facebook group.
That's awesome. And I forgot that this was so I do so much that there are little things that I forget, right? So yeah, I took my digital business card, my contact page, and I just posted a link to it and I posted an image of it. And I said, hey, look, if you ever need help, just text me. Add me to your phone, text me your information, because the way I have like a two-way digital business card thing that I set up. And you'd be surprised. I probably had 20 to 50 people add me within the first 2 days. And guess what? No one in there sent me garbage or spam or crap or anything else that like you don't want, like messaging. And I do get a random message, maybe 3 to 5 a week. And most of them are folks that I've already talked to before, whatever. But I think it gives that sense of like, if there's an oh no moment of like, oh God, like at least you have that person's information, but everybody's been respectful of it. I've had some other folks in my mastermind groups that own other software companies that were like, you just give people your phone number? I'm like, why not? Like, if you set the precedence of like, I'm not gonna be spamming you with my phone number, because it's literally my cell phone number. And do I get like a couple spam calls and stuff a day from like weird numbers and stuff? Yeah. But like, if you were to text me, you get through that, right? And if you're in my phone, because I've saved you as a contact record, be like, oh, okay, it's so-and-so, a review lead agency or something like that. I can at least say, hey, Doreen, thanks for texting me. Like, what can I help you with? And go from there. It's almost like a bat phone in a way. And it's, people have always been respectful. I've done it on sales webinars and things like that. And I don't know, for some reason, people are afraid to do that. But it's just, no one's really
Well,
taken advantage of it ever.
yeah, and I'm going to, compare this to when you talk about, giving away all your secrets and people go, oh, why would you do that? Somebody's going to copy you. No, they're not. You are genuinely sharing what you know. And that's the same with the phone number. You can give it away and say, oh, people are going to spam me, but you're on the other side. You're giving people the benefit of the doubt and you're trusting them, which shows them to your audience and to your customers that they can trust you. You're building that trust by doing that and not dismissing them and saying, I don't want to deal with you. I just want your money. That's not what you're saying. You're
Yep.
like, you're giving your time and you're giving yourself. And I think that people feel that. And that's really generous, but it's also definitely a differentiator, I think, within the group and within the company. That's what we're doing.
I think it adds some authenticity to it
Mhm.
as well, of like, hey, look, the guy really does care. He really, and I think it adds to the credibility
Right.
of the product and service. And by the way, there was no strategic plan to go. One day I was like, why don't I just give everybody? That's how I operate sometimes. In the
Yeah.
Facebook group, I'm going to tell you 100% right now. Like in my business, there's a strategy, there's a plan. In the Facebook group, it's like, what I don't have, like, what am I going to post today, or how am I going to do that? That's Doreen's job for like my social media and things like that. But the Facebook group is like, it's almost like you're looking inside of my brain of what's going on right then. And I know that's not the right thing for everybody. Some people want to post reels or stories and not worry about the groups. I already had a small asset that was there, and I was like, why not build upon this, and have somebody help me with it? So for me, though, like we talked about really early on this call or this recording, whatever you want to call it, was finding ways now, like this week, when I've been extremely busy, to post content, to really kind of like show that, yeah, I'm doing something, I'm working. And look, recording a video takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And anything I post on Facebook is literally me turning on my QuickTime movie, turn on the camera, I hit record it, stop. I do zero editing and I just upload the thing. So it's not like I've got an intro and outro. I'm not trying to be fancy with it. That's for all the other channels and things like that. It's just like, hey, what's going on? It's something like that. So I do schedule small breaks, like a 15-minute or 30-minute or hour break, depending on, like, if I have a sales call the hour prior to a large webinar, not like a one-off demo, but a large webinar. I need like 3 minutes, 5 minutes for a demo. But for a webinar, just to get my brain in the right spot, to make sure that I've like eaten or anything like that. Because I got on one call this week where I hadn't really had anything. And I was starting to feel like, whoa, like a little bit like not 100% there. But I had to find ways to post content. So what I've been able to do, even during the busy weeks, is after I've had a sales call or a aha moment, I've written something down on a notepad or whatever, and then either at the end of the day or not even necessarily at the end of the day or on one of those breaks, I just turn on the camera real quick and talk to the camera for like 3 minutes. One of them was like 7 minutes and things like that. Just quick stories and lessons. And all I'm doing with that is just sharing real world experiences. Like, here's what happened. I just met with a real estate group and they're interested. They got to go to the principal to see if that person wants to do the whole thing. But here's how, I think this deal is going to go. Right. Or, hey, I just closed this one from there, just to show folks that like I am doing it and going from there. But then there's also been times where I just either I'm burnt out, like at 4 o'clock, I look terrible. Like at the end of the day, like I'm not trying to look like I'm, TV ready all the time. Like I'm not a news anchor or a movie star, but like you can see in my face that I am visibly tired at the end of that day. And I'm not even going to the gym in the morning now. I'm now going to the gym in the afternoon. So it's not like I woke up at 5:30, did 2 hours of training, and then I like grinded through a day. I got up and started my day with this. So now I'm already physically and mentally exhausted. So what I've done is I've taken non-video content and shared it. And I did 2 of them this week and they went extremely well for me. The first one that I did was I talk about like June, previous businesses, things like that, partners and things like that. June used to be like a dead month. We used to almost like not do the monthly call. We just took off and just wrote 1 month out of the year off. June has been, this June, May and June have been probably the 2 busiest months of my company yet, because we're going this way, right? So I found that was really interesting for us, that the mentality shift that I had was, instead of like, and there were some limiting beliefs and factors and like holding ourselves back in the past, which obviously now I've learned as a business owner, but somebody is always working. We always like, oh, people aren't around, they're not buying. I'm telling you right now, I've had 3 offers the last 3 weeks and they're all doing very well.
Yes.
Like good conversion rates, good revenue and things like that. Now we have to expand that out to cold traffic and other things, but like we're setting those things up for ourselves as we go. So the first thing that I did was we had a decent sized sale, and I was teaching a course, a little bit of a higher ticket sale, higher ticket item. And this was like actually it was like a week ago. So I talked about how, I think I may have even done it in just a post. I don't even know if I did it in a video. I may have done a video prior, the day prior, but when the sale actually came through, because I didn't take the payment right there on the spot, because it was like 4:30 and I was just mentally exhausted. I just sent them the link and was like, all right, cool. Well, a couple days later, they finally paid. So I put basically a proof that like, hey, I got the invoice paid. How do you guys take your payments?
I remember seeing that one. Yeah.
Right. So it starts a conversation of, and some people probably put in like their own payment processor software or whatever. I don't really care. Right. No one, you're not going to, siphon traffic off of me from there. But it did a couple of things for me. First of all, I didn't have to record a video. It probably took me about the same amount of time, even though I was drained and looked terrible, to just post a little bit about the story. It was a proof image that, yeah, Jeff does this and it makes money doing this, because I had the date time stamp on there and blurred out the person's name. And then instead of just saying, hey guys, look what I did, I turned it into, how do you do this? Right. And I flipped it around and basically said, so I messed up. I sent them a Stripe link instead of just going through like, here's how I use my payment processing. What do you guys use for payment? And then I got everybody else commenting what they did on that post. So I got some social proof out of it. I've got like, hey, some interaction, and it was just an image that went.
So what you did, you hit one of the pain points. For anybody who is in sales or owns a business, it's hard to get paid. So everybody was like, oh yeah, it's hard to get people to send him money, to pay the invoice, to close the month. You hit on a pain point that everybody is dealing with. And then the other thing you did which is the point of view. You showed your point of view, which is huge right now. I don't know if you're watching this, you've probably seen or used these kind of posts on especially Instagram and TikTok, POV, point of view. And you kind of point the camera away from you of what you're seeing, and you're showing the world what you're experiencing instead of turning it on you and talking to it. So the point of view one, which is what you did by showing that, hey, the invoice is paid, is something that people really relate to because they're seeing the same thing or something similar on their screen. So it's familiar to them. So those were a combination. That post was a combination of two really great things. That's probably why I did so well.
And by the way, there was no, like, I wasn't trying to boast, and I had no intention. It was just like, hey, I need a piece of content out there. And I was just showing what was happening in my business right now. So I was trying to be authentic with it as well. And then there was a thing where, like, I feel like I need to be posting. I'm almost into the habit, and this is your fault. You've built a habit pattern like in me where, like, if I'm not doing something in the group, and I still use the everyone tag like every other day or something that I really want to get engagement in.
Sure.
I don't use it like every single day, but I use it probably 3-4 times a week across the entire week. And you get to use it once a day, right? So I want to do it with the right post from there.
Sure.
But I wanted to show folks like how busy my calendar was, and like, hey, look, you can be growing and balancing and still, managing your time, but like engage with folks and do things. So that was another non-video piece of content. And instead of saying, hey guys, like, I'm important, look how busy I am, I said, hey, look, I've got a lot of meetings coming in. Here's how I do it. I block some times off. But I also use these tools to book my calendar, and I use Calendly and Google Calendar, right? That tied to my iCal. But HubSpot has its one little thing that sneaks in there once in a while. But we're talking about, like, those two are my tools. What do you do to book and have something? And then I had a little less engagement, right? Because not everybody has meetings and things like that, but it still got engagement from that. So it's again showing, hey, look, well, maybe I haven't seen Jeff post, or like he's not posting 2 videos a day right now, or something along those lines. Because my max is 2, maybe 1 a.m., 1 p.m. And I try not to, so that like folks see it and I can, pin the right stuff. Because some of those videos, if I don't tag people, it'll just get lost in there. But some of it
No, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I wanted to mention that the everyone tag, I'm seeing certain CEOs like yourself who have groups just in the last couple of months. It must really be working because they're using them now too. There's one group that I'm in that has a community manager that uses the everyone tag maybe once a day or every other day. And then another CEO of an agency who has a Facebook group that I'm active in who uses it because they just had an event. So I'm seeing more people use it the right way. I'm thinking that for every other Facebook group I'm in hundreds. I've probably turned it off. I think that's what happened, where people just use it over and over, and then you can kind of turn off, I don't want to get notifications of those groups. So that balance is really important, that you use it the right way. Otherwise, people will completely tune you out.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that, right? And I'm not posting like, everybody go sign up for my sales call, or everybody like do that. It's literally like, this will benefit you, so they feel that like if I've tagged them, they will go to that. So I'm trying not to use it more than 3, max 4 times a week. And something that I think has some real value to it from there. It's interesting, going back like 10 minutes in our conversation, I just had somebody that has a meeting with me in 30 minutes just text me and go, hey, I got to reschedule our meeting for our 15-minute meeting. What's the best way to do it? Right. So I'll respond to him after this call, but he'll probably figure it out before, because there's a reschedule button on my calendar. So 2 of the things we were just talking about for the last 15 minutes on this
people can reach you, you're a real person. Yes, that's awesome. I think it's great. And the other thing that I want to put out there is that whatever's Jeff's doing in the Facebook group, we're taking notes, and we're going to start applying this to other places where Jeff's personal brand is going to start engaging. And the next step is LinkedIn. We kind of talked about that last week. So I started posting some stuff for Jeff, but I think it's time for Jeff to be active on LinkedIn himself, especially as a thought leader, a software, SaaS owner, all the experience you have in reputation management, the different businesses you've owned, your experience of being in the Air Force. So all of that expertise, once that starts going on LinkedIn, I think you'll really grow that personal brand, which again will bring people in because they're attracted to people who are genuine, who are honest, who are authentic, who are present, right? So we're going to take some of those lessons learned in a Facebook group and now go be an outward place, and the place to be for you is going to be LinkedIn. So we're going to use that there.
Yeah, it's a more professional setting too, right? So I can go after
Yes.
marketing agencies as well as companies that would potentially use us
Yeah.
as we do our outreach and from there.
Right. And, small business owners, people who are networking at chambers, there's going to be a lot of different people out there that want to connect with you and want to know more about what you do and learn from you, right? Because it's not just about Reviewly, but it's also about your experience in growing this company, which is why we're doing the docuseries.
Yep.
So people can learn from you on that as well, on how you're growing your company. And that's LinkedIn is perfect for that.
Yeah, this is a great segue to my next point. My topic point is like the way I've been growing it right now are the agency resellers, right? And now we're starting to reach out to the SMBs and the small business owners and try to find. And we actually have a couple of weeks from now, I've got somebody going and presenting to like 50 to 100 small businesses at a credit union on our behalf, which actually is awesome. A good friend of mine. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see how this goes, because you can't do those just one off. And then we're launching our shop and we're doing all those kind of things and working through it. But if I'm here to help the agencies, I've got to keep them motivated. I've got to get them, into the software and using it and selling it. And one thing that I've noticed is because it is summer and people do trips and things like that, while we're busy and I am fielding calls, and I'm not saying it's really slow. If you take the month, we've got more and more case studies every single month. But for me personally, whenever I run something specific around Reviewly, the review devices and everything that we have, where we do like the sell, snap, share, where they take, one of these devices and they're like, hey, take a picture with the business owner or have them take it or of it or whatever, have them send it to you. Say like the last week, it's to me, it may not have, but to me personally, my feeling, it could have been in 3 days. That could be a week and a half in my mind. It's like slowed down a little bit. Plus we have, holiday weekend and almost like a 5-day weekend coming up the way it's
Yeah.
positioned. So for me, I'm going to take advantage of that. And something that like normally, again, previous years, they could go be like, oh, we'll just shut it down or whatever. Instead, we're going to come up with a strategic plan where we're going to try to grow our social reach. We're going to try to grow our revenue, and we're going to try to increase engagement in the group right after that holiday, because I'm going to be running a challenge during that time where it'll be, hey, we've been looking to see what other folks are doing. There's a couple of day workshops and challenges and things out there. But the way I'm going to position it is so that any new agency that's never seen us before or that's been on the fence, that maybe hasn't gotten into one of my programs, can get in with a trial of the software and then come to 3 sessions that are then going to be trained on how to actually set up and sell with just the key points, right? It's going to be, hey, 5 minutes to $1,000 sale. Well, how does that work? So if I can get enough interest, if I can get enough engagement, and I can get it to where either my email list is sharing, my social group is sharing, we got ad sharing, things like that, that should not only grow my reach, but expand the number of case studies that we have, which are really great right now, and just get that ball rolling. Because what I don't want to do is have everything that we've done for the last 3-4 months kind of just drop off, where now it's like, oh, we got to go look at something else. I want to now bring everybody back to the beginning and say, hey, if you haven't been doing this, you've been on vacation, like, let me remind you why this cog is turning for you and why you can use this as a great foot in the door for there as an agency. And then that will continue to further my reach. And we'll be able to then start talking to the SMBs more, and really just helping those agencies that we have, which is our primary audience right now, because it was easy for me. I already had the audience.
Right.
I just had to convert them from there. But as we expand out, really start talking to those business owners, because our group is truly about resellers. It's
Right.
about the software resellers, not necessarily the users. However, with all the social reach and the stuff that we're doing between also with our SEO strategies and things like that, we're seeing more and more organic SMBs sign up for our trials than we have ever before. So we're starting to see that tick a little bit more and more. And obviously, would I love to have 60, 70 a day? Yeah, absolutely. Is it, are we there yet? No, we got a handful,
No.
right?
Yeah.
But it's this is somebody that the way we built our, and this is somebody that is ever building a UI, and you want to promote it through social channels and SEO and do the organic growth thing, is it's product-led growth. So they can literally take a free trial and within 30 seconds to 3 minutes, go through the setup process and be using the platform. And then in 7, 10, 14 days, I think it's a 14-day trial, they convert into a sale from there. And then we obviously have our automations and stuff, but this is somebody that there's a point where if I want to get to scale, I can't talk to every business owner.
Right.
So
So
unless it's
the
important,
agencies work. Yeah.
yep.
That makes a
So
lot of sense. And I love
yep.
that you talked about case studies, because I'm working with our SEO specialist and we're taking the case studies that you've done and we're going to put them on the blog. We have videos, but now we're going to put them on the blog. So we're also starting to put those out. So we have that social proof that we can then also post to social media. So all of those pieces are working together. Every time we get a piece of content, how can we use it? How can we further use it? Where can it go? So it's not just in the group. It's not just on YouTube. It's going to be on the blog. It's going to be on social. And yeah, that showing, not just telling people what we do, but showing people the results is what's really, making everything move forward.
Yeah, and the fact that like we're expanding, people are seeing it, and by the time I get like, I don't have to go through. Well, actually, here's a really interesting point that I've noticed this week is the businesses as well as agencies that I talk to, because I do talk to both sides. And right now, I think I talk to more businesses than agencies because they just go through like a normal, webinar promotion or sales funnel at the moment. Is I used to have to do like a 20, 30-minute presentation, who we are, what we do. Most of them already know it. They just have a couple questions that I have to answer. And then that's it. And it's having the social presence, having the content out there. And obviously that takes time to build. You
Right.
can't do that over and over again from there without like making sure that you like lose your time versus money. So if I'm doing the same thing over and over, and I was a year ago, but then we streamlined, we got to go, and now we got this content out there. So I skipped like half the slides in the deck now.
I love that. That's great. So that's a time saver. So here's a quick takeaway if you're watching this, right? So the social media helps you cut down on the time on the demos. And if you take 10, 15 minutes off each demo, think about how much time you take back, which is time you then can put into making that video for, your Facebook group or going to LinkedIn and engaging. So yeah, it's all, we're shifting and we're moving along, but that's really great to hear. And yeah, that's been my goal with social media for the first 90 days. And now we're into, the second 90 days, is that the awareness piece, what we do, what we offer, the pain points that, we resolve, and then results. Like it's easy, it's easy. You get results, you get more Google reviews. Here's why people trust reviews. The whole, I keep repeating myself on social, but that's really what people need to hear. So by the time they get to you, they want to play, they want the software and they're ready to try it because they have seen what can be done. So yeah, that's really cool that it's all working together.
Yeah, and that's what having this social media channel and outreach and doing it, and having somebody like you as a strategist do all of it for me, is I just turn on, go, and then I just tag I basically anything I post to Facebook, I just tag, drop it in a Google folder, and I don't even know what our schedule is, right? I don't even have the logins from there. And I like to tout that because like it doesn't, as the CEO, the owner, the creator, product founder, whatever it is you want to call me, I don't have to worry about that. So I'm not working
Also
8 hours a day, right?
Right.
I'm taking what I do best, which is motivating the agencies, giving the sales training, walking through, and then selling my own product from there. And there are folks that are like, yeah, you're at the phase where you still need to be the founder, the face of this, and walking people through. Like those business owners that self sign up, we potentially will never talk to them, and they're in there. And unless they have a question, my support team handles them. They'll never talk to me because of how we
Right.
built the process. And that's tied into what we've done and going. How have we grown? What's our engagement look like on the different social channels? So we can kind of like give the idea of like where all the stuff that we talked about that we've been doing and really kind of motivating the agencies and the folks, but how has that really panned out in the data?
So the data is showing that our engagement still is really super high compared to our industry competitors. So say on certain channels we have, 40% engagement rate, 30%, and they might be less than one. So we're really doing incredibly well. We're also starting to see some spikes in certain types of posts on certain platforms. I kind of alluded to that in episode 3, where I started seeing some success specific type of content on a specific platform. Memes continue to do really well on Facebook, but they're also starting to do really well on Instagram. We've had a couple of reels with memes
Nice.
do really well. So that's cool. The interviews do really well on YouTube and TikTok. You did a series of frequently asked questions. I just, gave you the questions, you answered them, I cut them. We had about 12 of them. They're starting to go out, and I'm starting to see that they did really well. They're doing really well. They're still going out on TikTok. People are liking to see you answer a question about Reviewly. Again, they might just see it and then keep scrolling and looking at our other content. You kind of draw them in with answering that question. The articles do really well on LinkedIn. We're repurposing our blog on LinkedIn. Every Tuesday when I post one, there's a spike in engagement. People like to read an article. They see the LinkedIn kind of pushes that out. So that's doing really well. The case studies on LinkedIn, of course, and then those frequently asked videos, frequently asked question videos, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So that's kind of where we are with that. Of course, we want to push out our blog, not just, use SEO to get traffic there. So we are putting blog images out. I'm kind of, playing with that. I think I'm going to try some animated images for that. I am always, as always, and you should be if you're in social media, always reading and testing. So one of the things I want to test is have an image with music for the blog. People have reported that, especially on Instagram and TikTok, having an image be a video with some music over it is getting more attention. So I'm going to create some of those and test those out. I'm always up for testing. Just because something did well in April and May doesn't mean it's going to do well in June or July, right? So
Yeah.
I want to test new things, new features that come out. I'm always trying them. I just saw on the scheduling tool that we use, which is called Metricool. If you're in marketing, you've probably heard of it. They just came out, and they're going to start using, they're going to allow you to schedule Threads, which is an Instagram product. So we might get active on there, especially if we can get some content written ahead of time, right? Because that's conversational. So we're always exploring. Twitter wasn't doing anything the first 75 days. And now people are following us. So we've got a little bit of engagement. So, I still call it Twitter, it's X, right? But something is happening there. So I'm just gonna post to that platform and see what happens. But yeah, I think that people are paying notice to what we're doing. We're consistent. We're at this point posting pretty much 7 days a week. There's different content going out every day. And I think the consistency of posting every day is starting to pay off. We had a little bit of time in May that I got behind in our little shorts. So there was like maybe 10 days that I didn't post, and that really tanked our engagement. So I got it back up, one video a day, one short a day, and we're back to 400, 500, 600 views a day. So that's a good lesson, right? That's got to get ahead of that and post something every day. And we're growing. I mean, we have more than doubled our YouTube audience, which was very small to start with. Because remember, we started from just about zero. So we're getting there. And I would predict by the end of the year, we've surpassed 3 out of our 4 competitors, 3 or 4 or 5 competitors, because they really don't have that many audience, that many subscribers on YouTube. So I think YouTube and TikTok, we have the most opportunity for sure, and LinkedIn.
And I think the 2 big takeaways for this is like they're corporate, right? So there is
Right.
no face of the
Right.
product. So that's hard. Unless
Yeah.
you give somebody the task of being the face of that product or that niche variation of the bigger product, it's going to be hard to gain an audience from there because
Right.
corporations are like, they're solid, like it's hard, right? You got to have a brand, you got to have a face from there. And then for us, we talked about this prior to the call, and we'll wrap it up with this is what's our next step? Big picture for us, it's LinkedIn.
Right.
And there's some real intentional design behind that because we want to go after the agencies. We want to go after the business owners that are part of those like professional networks. And that's not 100% going to be on Instagram, X, TikTok. Like we want to get that content out there because you want to be everywhere. Right. And again,
Right.
we've done this in a measured approach. Let's start here and then not try to do everything at once. Let's do one thing. Let's build the system. And then we'll kind of build upon it. We'll build upon it. Our next piece is going to be LinkedIn. We're going to start to follow and be outbound. And then we got the posting going on from there. Right.
And the other part that we want to get from that is not just get you more connections, but we want to get you more opportunities, right? When you get on a podcast, when you talk about our product, you could see the enthusiasm, right? Inside and out. You are definitely a startup founder. And so getting you on podcasts will be much easier when you are active on LinkedIn. So that's part of that strategy, why we want to push that. Next is, get you on stage, on virtual stages, on podcasts, but potentially also speaking about Google reviews and reputation management. So those opportunities will come to you by you being active on and visible on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I think it totally makes sense. And that's somewhere I need to go and really do things I haven't done before, get outside of my comfort zone. And I've done now at this point 2 or 3 podcasts. And to me, it's just a video webinar, right? I'm just talking in order. But it's just getting the name and the brand out there. And then when we get done, people are like, wow, it was a really good call. I'm like, well, I know my stuff inside and out because it's my product. And if I talk about the 3 simple things that we do and how it can make a difference, 2 of them being completely unique to the industry, it's almost like, it's an aha moment for a lot of those people as we go.
Yeah. So that's next. And we can report on that next time we record episode 5. But for episode 4, that's really where we're at. Quick, we send out a second newsletter. Open rates was great. Click rate was even better than the first one. Web traffic is steady. And then, we're just going to focus now on, keep the Facebook group growing with that challenge, and then work on your personal LinkedIn, and your personal brand. So I'm excited for the next phase that we're entering here.
Yeah. And we're going to do some social stuff with that challenge as well. I've been saying prior to this call, I was like, hey, how do I grow some of those channels? Just putting, that content out there so everybody can see it. Why not? Right. We want to capture as many folks as possible. And it's hard to gain that audience. So why not put it in as many places as possible? So cool. Thanks, Dorien. Appreciate it. We'll see everybody on the next episode of the SaaSmall Social Call. Take care.